all you cool cats and kittens. And if you know what Netflix show that's from, we just finished watching it. Okay, so today is math day, and I wanted to do a quick review with you about what we were doing before the huge long March break that we've been having, because we are going to get back to algebra. So first of all, we have to talk about recursive patterns. Now, all of this information is going to be on the sheet that I give you today that has the practice questions, and then there will also be a section afterward that's basically review. A recursive pattern is a pattern that has a pattern rule like start at 1, add 5 each time. And it's a pattern rule that expresses the relationship between each term value. So if it was start at 1 and add 5 each time, your pattern would look something like this. Start at 1, add 5 each time. Now, if we were to do this in a table of values, we would have the term number on one side, and we would have the term value on the other side. And then right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 term numbers. And their term values are 1, 6, 11, and 16. Now, these term values, the recursive pattern explains the relationship between term value to term value to term value. The pattern relationship has nothing to do with the term number yet. We spoke about variables before we left. So we know that a variable is any letter or symbol that's used to represent a number. We learned the difference between an expression and an equation. For example, 5x plus 1 is an expression because it has no answer, and right now it's unsolvable unless I give you what it equals or the answer of x for you to solve. However, if I said 5x plus 1 equals 31, that would be an equation because that is completely and totally solvable. What we then went on to is factorization and distribution of algebraic expressions in order to simplify. So, for example, you see an algebraic expression here. We know it's an algebraic expression because there is no equal sign. We don't know what x is, so therefore we cannot solve it. But we do know that we can start to simplify it by using BEDMAS. For example, is there any reason why we have to see 7 times 2 plus 6? Why can't we just solve that bracket right away and say 7 times 2 is 14 plus 6 is 20? And why can't we say 12x plus 8? Well, if I have 12 apples in one hand and I have 8 apples in another hand, don't I just have 20 apples altogether? So I can simplify it by saying 20x divided by 20. And then I can get rid of the brackets. But then I can also do something else. I can do what's called factoring. I can take a look at the numbers on both sides and say, okay, are there any common factors between both of these? And there are. Obviously, 20 is a common factor. So I can pull out the 20, and then in the brackets, I can put x divided by 1. This is the factorization. 20 times x is 20x, and 20 times 1 is 20. So now we have 20 bracket x divided by 1. This is factorization. Now, in some cases where you see an algebraic expression, again, I know it's an expression because I cannot solve it and I do not know what x is. But I do want to simplify it because I don't want to leave this big expression here without cutting it down a little bit, because I know that through BEDMAS there are some things that are solvable. So before you factor it, sometimes you also have to distribute it. So for example, we see here that I have 8 outside of the bracket. So first of all, let's solve what we can inside the bracket before we distribute. Well, we have to do the 8 divided by 2 first because division comes before addition. So we have 8 divided by 2, which is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. Now my expression becomes 8 with my 10 minus 4x. I can distribute the 8, so it becomes 8 times 10, which is 80, minus 32x. Now, the question is, can I then go ahead and pull something back out of it? Is there something else that I could use in order to factor this? Well, I know that 8 goes into both because I just put 8 into both, but is there something else? Well, what about 16? Does 16 go into 80 equally? And as a matter of fact, I believe, okay, and I'm gonna have to do this again. So after I use my calculator, I am back. Actually, the number 16 goes into both of these numbers equally. So what I can do is I can pull out the 16, and then back in my bracket, I know it goes into 85 times, and I know that 16 goes into 32 2 times. So my answer, completely simplified, would be 16 bracket 5 minus 2x. Okay, so sometimes I have to distribute before I can fully factor. Now today what you guys are going to do is I've given you 8 questions where you're going to have to take it down to its most simplified forms. In some cases you're going to have to distribute first. In some cases you're going to have to use BEDMAS first to solve what you can, to either add variables together that have the same variable or to solve one of the operators that has no variable, the way that I did here with the 8 divided by 2 plus 6, okay? So you might have to simplify first using BEDMAS, you may have to distribute first, or it may just be a clean factor. So you've got 8 questions to factor. I've also given you a review sheet that lists everything that we did before the break, before we dive in to algebra. And I highly recommend that you take a look at it just to review so that you're on par with where we go. Now, like I said, when you get to grade 9, some of the biggest things that you're going to do are going to be things like fractions, integers, and algebra. Those are the 3 biggies for grade 9 math. Now, grade 7s, obviously, you're like, well, I got a whole year to wait before that. You're right, you do. You have a whole year to review this, which is great, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it great the first time anyways while you're trying this out. Grade 8s, you are soon going on to grade 9, and I feel so bad that I am not teaching you in class and giving you that one-on-one support, but I really hope that you are understanding these concepts, and I really hope that if you're having difficulty with it or you don't understand how to do it, you definitely reach out to me and ask for a meet. The second thing you could do is you could go back to Khan Academy. So Khan Academy has a ton of different videos that will help you do this. Don't be afraid, they're going to use words like polynomials, binomials, and all that kind of stuff. Don't worry, it's a fancy hoity-toity word for terms, okay, and numbers. The other thing you could do is you could go on to IXL Math if you're still struggling. Or you could even go on to Knowledge Hook and pick an activity at the grade 9 level just to see how you do, okay? So today I'd really like you to do some simplifying and factoring. This will be due tomorrow, please don't forget. And other than that, I will see you soon, okay? Have a great day, everybody.